Come along, children. Now we're going to have a little music.
This ain't funny, so don't you dare laugh.
Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back to First Cut Live. We are doing it live. I'm here with the full crew, RB3 and Sabrina. We are here to break down any movie news that is going on in the movie world. And we're talking about James Gunn's Superman today and Christopher Nolan's new project that he has coming out for Universal. Joining me to do all that, as I said before, we have RB3 and Sabrina. Sabrina, RB3, how are you guys feeling today?
Feeling good. Happy to be here. Happy to break down all the movie news with you guys.
Yeah. How about you, RB3?
I'm feeling good. I feel like we're getting a little fan base back. 8 people jumped in, and we didn't even send out notifications this time. So the fact that y'all just jumped in, appreciate y'all. 8 people, only 2 likes though. Come on, y'all know the rules. Hit that like button ASAP. Especially if you're watching the replay. We had a lot of views last time on the replay, so. Hook us up with a like on the replay.
Yeah, we are here to talk about all the movie news. We appreciate you guys joining us to do that. And RB3, the lineup you have for us today, man, it's right up my lane. You know me, man. As soon as I saw that poster, I was like, I'm in. Give me Crypto the Super Dog. That's what we're here to talk about on First Cut Live today. Crypto is coming to Superman.
Yeah.
This is the biggest movie news of the week.
Yeah, no, honestly.
But before we get to that, I do want to check in with you guys as far as what you guys saw over the weekend. I know you guys watch a lot more movies than I do. I'm still catching up on shows and stuff. But Sabrina, RB3, what have you guys been watching?
Ooh, I rewatched We Live in Time on Friday. Andrew Garfield was actually there. Oh. And then news came out that him and his girlfriend broke up. Coincidence? Who knows? It might have been because you saw me. So we're cooking over here. But I rewatched that one, still just as hard. Yeah, it's a long game. Okay.
Yeah.
I've been on it since 2010. All right. Yeah. But yeah, that one, I started rewatching the Terrifier films, so 1 and 2.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah. Okay, so context is that Brandon loves horror movies. He's never seen them. I've always watched them without him. So he wanted to check them out. And I was like, all right, you know what? Maybe I can come into this with like a fresh perspective. Maybe there's just something I haven't been seeing because so many people love these movies. They definitely worked better on this rewatch, but I'm still not the biggest fan. I won't be seeing the third one in a theater, but I'll probably check it out whenever it does hit streaming. What I will say about the franchise though, is I think it's really, really sick that an independent film in its opening weekend passed up Joker in its second weekend. Like that's like very, very major. I don't think anybody could have seen something like that coming a while ago. Because again, Joker's the first film, critically acclaimed, commercial success, all of the above. And then we have this like scrappy team coming together and making these horror movies that a lot of people are really enjoying. So I think that's a win over there. And then I saw Smile 2, which I'll be talking about shortly.
Ooh, teasing us. RB3, how about you, Ben?
Man, I saw a lot of good movies this weekend. I saw Piece by Piece, the Pharrell Williams Lego documentary, which is just amazing. Probably honestly one of my favorites of the year. I think about that movie a lot. It's just an inspirational story paired with the fact that I just love Pharrell's music, and the inventiveness of it just really takes it to the next level because it could have just been easy making a standard music documentary where you're talking to celebrities and stuff, but the fact that they went the extra length to animate it, recreate iconic moments in Pharrell's career, but like with Legos, and it just all fits to the overall, I feel like, theme of Pharrell's career, which is like, he built it brick by brick, like piece by piece, like he's just a dude who was a music nerd who came from Virginia Beach and ended up making it. So it was an amazing movie. I loved that one. So that one, and I also love Saturday Night as well. That one it's directed by Jason Reitman, starring a bevy of cast. I mean, the cast is unbelievably stacked for that. And that one was also really good too. It was really good seeing 2 great movies. I also saw The Wild Robot as well. So actually I saw 3 great movies this weekend. Kind of really washed the taste of Megalopolis and Joker 2 out of my mouth. So it was good.
That's great. Do you want to expand on any of those right now, RB3?
No, I mean, Piece by Piece is really the one I really love the most. And Saturday Night was also great too. I like Saturday Night so much I ended up watching the first episode of SNL like afterwards. So it was both of them are, very, very good, very, very great movies. I wish they didn't do the biggest box office, but they don't really seem like the most mainstream movies anyway, even though I think there is a lot of mainstream appeal to both of them. But I think they, I loved it. I love inventive storytelling. I love, something that kind of breaks convention, and both of them kind of did that. Of course, Saturday Night is very like Hollywood, kind of standard stuff, but it is the casting behind it, the personalities, and the energy of it was really the best part, the pacing.
Yeah, I feel like people forget how big Pharrell was, man. Like,
Oh yeah.
when I was growing up, Pharrell was huge, and his production, his style, his uniqueness was really ahead of the game. Like, he really was ahead of the game when it came to a lot of stuff in the music world, a lot of stuff that we see nowadays, a lot of stuff that inspired low key like Kanye, and a lot of people credit Kanye as like one of the most innovative rappers of all time. But Pharrell low key kind of inspired him with a few of the stuff that he was doing with his band. So I know that's a big deal. So I'm definitely curious to check that out for sure. And when it comes to Saturday Night, you're not a big SNL man, SNL guy?
Not really. I mean, I like
Okay.
I like some seasons that they have, like, of course, like the Bill Hader, Tina Fey, Amy Poehler,
Yeah.
like era, Seth
Love it.
Meyers. That was peak for me.
Lonely Island.
Yeah, Lonely Eye, exactly. All part of that era, and then even right before that too, with the Will Ferrell and like the early 2000s was really cooking. And then they did have
Yeah.
they had a moment recently they did have a really good cast recently. Where it was like, I don't know if it was like 8 years ago probably, but like Leslie Jones and like that whole era, like the 2015-16 era, they were cooking then too. But you know.
Yeah. Sabrina, how about you? Are you excited for Saturday Night, and are you a SNL fan?
Yeah, so I was actually supposed to see it tonight, but I have work, and I feel like that keeps happening every single time I try to see this film. So I will be seeing it. Very excited to see Rachel Sennett, Gabriel LaBelle. I've been coming off of like The Fablemans. I know that's major. Um, I know nothing about how it's paced, but I just keep hearing like chaotic, like all of the above. And so if it's like Uncut Gems meets Saturday Night Live, like the making of Saturday Night Live, I feel like I'm going to be super on board. And I also was a big SNL fan. Same eras that RB3 was kind of talking about, especially the Bill Hader, Andy Samberg. Like that one was just so crazy. Amy Poehler, I know John Mulaney was writing for that one. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I've seen almost like every single episode of SNL because I went through a phase when I was like 12 and I had on demand and I could watch all of those old ones. But yeah, so I will be checking that one out.
I echo the fan of it all because I love SNL and I still follow SNL to this day. I've been recently catching up on the new season right now. I never give it up. Like I've been saying this
Yeah.
since day one, since I started watching. I know a lot of people let it go and stop watching because of the cast and all that, but I always feel like you can find something funny in the episode, like because it's so many shorts and so many sketches that I do feel like there's gonna be one or two that are gonna make you laugh. And if you go in with an open mind, that's what I always do, and I always enjoy it. And I do feel like there is a couple cast members now that are really good, but I started in probably like right after the Will Ferrell era, Will Ferrell, Amy Poehler era, around like the 2010 maybe. That's probably when I started really watching. So I love it, like the Bill Hader
Yeah.
aspect of it all. You're right,
So
Sabrina.
fun.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. The Andy Samberg shorts.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
what are those called? You
The
said the
digital shorts.
digital shorts. There you go.
Yeah.
Those killed me. Like absolutely wrecked me.
So good.
Uh, I would laugh at every single one of them, and I would memorize every single one of them. I thought they were hysterical. The threw it on the ground. I threw it on the
On the
ground.
ground. Yeah.
I thought that was hysterical. There's just so many. There's just the Narnia one. It's a lot of fun, and I do feel like I don't know. It brings me a lot of joy, so I'm definitely excited to watch this movie. RB3, one thing before we let this go, you mentioned on Twitter. I think I just saw on Twitter that you had like flashbacks
Oh yeah.
of working on a live show.
Oh yeah.
Talk to me about that, man.
Oh, I mean, this is very like Schmodown energy. Like, you know, when we used to do Schmodowns and travel to like mad different cities, and you know, shout out that, shout out Christian
Shout out you.
Cabra.
You said shout out me foremost.
All of us, you're right, me too.
As you should.
We literally we would go to the theater the morning of, try to figure out, okay, how can we put the camera here, like do it all around. There's even like a little subplot where they're trying to like lay some you know, set decoration down like before the show goes live, and it's literally 90 minutes before, and they just get the materials. I'm like, oh, this is this is so on point. Yeah, with Schmodown, low-key my last job with Network too, it was a lot of that last second going live stuff. So, you know, it just it's very, very, very relatable, especially from a production standpoint. Like, yeah, this is how it always goes down. And then it goes down, and then when it goes live, it's just magic. You know, it just somehow it just works, you know, so. Yeah.
You did BET too. I forgot. You mentioned BET. BET is a big one.
Oh
too.
Yeah, the award shows. Well, yeah, BET is a huge one. With those, there's so many people that it's like not as hectic.
Yeah,
it's easier. Yeah, with Saturday Night, it's like they literally had they probably had a pretty big crew, but they had so many sketches. Like, and I went back and rewatched that first episode of SNL, like from 1975, and it's actually really funny. Like, I was laughing at like mad parts of it, and it's actually kind of crazy how much of the OG series kind of is still relevant now. Like, they still have they did weekend updates back then. They did the shorts back then. You know what I'm saying? So it was very, you know, they always had the formula, and it always kind of worked out.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to watch it, and I echo a little bit of it. Obviously, you have way more experience than I do when it comes to live show productions, but the little experience I have, I echo all of that. It's always crazy, and yeah, it's always insane. It's always a lot of fun, and definitely everything that you see in movies and stuff is low key kind of real, because it's so many big personalities in there that I think is a lot of fun to deal with. Let's move on to, do you want to talk about Smile too now, Sabrina? I forgot how we were organizing that. So,
yeah, let's do it. Just in case, because I know I have to head out a little bit earlier, but Smile 2, for those who don't know, I actually wasn't the biggest fan of the first one. I thought it was really good, and I could see, because Parker Finn, of course, like, this was based off of a short story, and essentially that short story, which is called Laura Hasn't Slept, was the opening scene of Smile. And I don't know if the working title is out there, but when I saw the film, there was the working title for Smile before it was called Smile. And I really, really enjoyed that. And I could see elements of his kind of personality all over the place. But then I just thought it was a little bit too much, maybe like studio holding back a little bit, because like he cooked a lot with like the practical effects and things like that. But with this one, I think after the success of the first one, I think they let him really have fun with it. So I just saw so much more like confidence, personality in his direction. I think Smile showed a lot of promise, and this one he really, really ran with it. So all of that to say, I really actually enjoyed this one, and I was super surprised about that. Of course, I never go into a film thinking, you know, like I'm expecting to not like this or whatever. But I just had no expectations, and it really did blow me away. Naomi Scott was absolutely incredible. I think that's the biggest thing, is that when we're following a character in a film like this, for, you know, we're seeing the breakdown of their psyche, and especially in the place that her character starts at, it's already not a good one. So as everything continues, she just was able to transform into something on screen that like I haven't seen from her yet. It was really, really cool to see her flex like that. Even like a lot of the supporting characters, Lucas Gage, the woman who plays her mom, the woman who plays her assistant, because for those who don't know, she's a pop star, which makes all of this so much crazier. I think they were able to go to new heights, showing how this kind of like curse really envelops your entire like mind. And yeah, the ending was really, really fun. I think there was a lot of really interesting ways that they took the story and like where it could potentially go in the future. It's like so much bigger, because I felt like the first one was definitely very, very contained. And also shout out to Kyle Gallner. That's my Scream King always. He was in the first one. Love to see him in literally everything. Also shout out Dinner in America. So yeah, the embargo just lifted, so I'm able to talk about it a little bit more. I just really like everything that Parker Finn did with this one. I like that he took this story to new heights. It felt very ambitious, and I always give credit where credit's due. So yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah, talk to me a little bit more about Naomi Scott's transformation because I can't lie. I found out like a week ago or like less than a week ago that that was Naomi Scott. I saw posters, I saw trailers, and I was like, oh, cool, Smile 2. I had no idea that was her. I had no clue. Maybe it was a wig. I think that threw me off. Is she wearing a wig or is she just blonde hair? But it just threw me off. It just threw me off.
Yeah, I think she just cut her hair shorter, bleached it. It definitely fits kind of with that whole like pop star persona. She's a pop star that kind of has that little edge to her. Think of like someone like a Miley Cyrus, like some of that like alt edge. She was absolutely fantastic. Like, I think that this is a film that has the potential now to get her so many other roles moving forward because I feel like after Charlie's Angels, even after like Aladdin, she just wasn't like people didn't really give her the credit for what she brought to those films just because maybe they weren't as beloved. I know a lot of people talk about the Disney live action of it all. But yeah, okay. I liked Trap. I don't know if you guys saw Trap. But anyway, so obviously.
Yeah, I love Trap. Oh, I love Trap, yeah.
Yeah, I really liked it, but one of the issues that I had with Trap was that, for Lady Raven, we don't really see any like cool production. We don't really see too much of her kind of like pop persona, but I think that Smile 2 remedied that entirely for me. I think some of the costuming, the set design, the choreography, dance sequences, and how they kind of intermingle like a lot of her personality and her world into how the smile curse is affecting her, I think is super, super unique, so fun. But yeah, so as far as like a pop girl goes in a horror or thriller for this year, this is the one that did it the best, in my opinion. I really, really like that one.
Yeah, it's interesting to see her career. I was just pulling it up right now and watch. I feel like I knew her from something else, but the biggest ones that she does have is the Power Rangers and Aladdin. And then you mentioned Charlie's Angels as well. Yeah. I feel like I've seen her in something else, but I guess that's kind of it from what I've seen. So this is definitely an elevation. Oh, that's where I knew her from.
What is it?
I think I'm the only one who watched that show. And I was like, I knew her from something else. Terra Nova.
I remember it on Fox. I remember that.
Yeah.
I definitely remember that.
That was one season, though. I was the only one who saw that season. They canceled it after one season. That's where I knew her from, because that was one of her first projects ever. But it's
really interesting though, because naming all of these, Aladdin, Charlie's Angels, these are all like have built-in audiences going into the film, but those didn't do that much for her career. And I feel like this 100% will. I do anticipate that it's probably going to do extremely well at the box office. Of course, it's the season for it. And yeah, it's honestly like a really fun treat. I'm actually going again to see it tomorrow, which for this type of film and for the fact that I didn't really care about the first one too much, it's a big deal for me to see it twice in 1 week.
Last thing before I pass it to RB3. Oh, go ahead, RB3.
No, you got it, Andres.
Just scary. Is it scary?
Oh yeah. Okay. So for the first one, I did see, and it kind of again goes back with that, like either, I don't know, of course, from like Parker J. Finn's perspective, if he just wasn't as confident in what he was creating, but I felt like a lot of the jump scares in the first one were very cheap. They just weren't as effective for me. I didn't find it to be that scary. This one changes that entirely because there's so many other added layers. And for anyone who saw the first one again, grief plays a role, all of these other aspects, and that does in this film as well. We love to see, metaphors for grief and allegories all over the place. But it works so well and it feels very organic with this one, especially, Jesse T. Usher it was in the first one playing like kind of a shitty boyfriend role. But it's more so because the curse like alienates you from everybody else in your life. So it makes sense that from an outsider's perspective, you're like, no, you're crazy, you're struggling with something and this isn't real. But the way they do it in this film just worked so well for me. And it was very scary. The jump scares worked. I did jump. I kind of like had some popcorn flown around at some points. I'm sorry to had to clean that up. I tried to clean up after myself. But yeah, I was really, really impressed. That's like the main thing that I took from this film. And I'm really excited to see if they make a third or whatever Parker J. Finn does next.
Now, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
You know, I'm looking forward to this movie. One of the big reasons I'm looking forward to it is because they keep putting Jack Nicholson's son on every single poster. I, as a Laker fan, I feel like I am contractually obligated to support anything the Jack Nicholson lineage does. So, is he in it a lot, or are we kind of being catfished a little bit?
He is very integral to the film.
Okay.
He's very important, and he is in there, and he does have, honestly, one of my favorite scenes, like one of this, like, not even scary in terms of like a horror movie, but just scariest scene in the film was a scene between him and Naomi Scott. And I thought that was so incredibly acted. That one is very haunting and has stayed with me.
Nah, I'm hyped for that. That's he you know, just putting him in the movie is a selling ticket for me alone. That's the only Nepo baby I gotta support. So
Yeah.
The Nicholson bloodline is crazy.
right.
Yeah, that's insane. I'm with you, every three, in the Lakers fan aspect of it all. I mean, you have to ask the fact that he's been supporting for so long.
Yeah, they gave him
It's hysterical.
Hall of Fame thing. But yeah, no, I'm excited for it, and I'm very much, because I know the first one was supposed to go directly to streaming. So does this feel like even you're saying it's like bigger and better? Is it like a higher budget than the first one, or still kind of in that same?
Oh my gosh, it's so apparent. Because, yeah, obviously the first Smile, it test screened really well. And then so that's when they made that decision to put it out in theaters. And I'm so glad that they did. I think we see that kind of a lot. And we talk about it with that growing trend of like how many films can easily just get buried for no reason on a streaming platform. It's on Netflix one day. It's like number 3 top streaming of the day. And then it's completely gone. And we basically never hear about it again. So I think this is a really good example of, first of all, trusting your filmmakers that you work with. Clearly he made magic, and he made a splash with his short film at the time. So this was like, especially for a horror film too in theaters, because we know how well they do. A lot of the times you will make your budget back as long as it's like smaller, but this one, so much bigger. Like I was talking about with that like set design, the costuming, the way her moments as a pop star are shown on screen is so insane. Like genuinely, I was sitting there and I'm like, I am a fan of her fake character, which is Sky Riley. I like became a fan of hers. So yeah, that was absolutely stunning. And it's what I wanted to see in Trap that I felt like I was missing. Like I wanted to see a little bit more like, you know, M. Night Shyamalan talked about how the Eras Tour kind of inspired him to create this. But I didn't see any of that with Lady Raven, because it was just like her on stage, like 4-ish backup dancers at any given time. And there wasn't really that much actually going on the stage. Could have done some pyro, could have done some like really cool choreography or colors. And then that's what Parker J. Finn came into and like definitely did with this film. The outfits are incredible. The choreography is insane. There's 2 of my favorite scenes. The one I was talking about between the characters, which I don't want to say anything about either of these, but then there's another one where there's like a group of Smile people in her apartment. And that one is such a standout with the way they choreographed those people coming at her is just insane. So yeah, it does feel like towards the end it can get like a little bit derivative, and we did see some of the moments in the first film that kind of are like reflected here, which it makes sense because they're going through the same thing, and the smile curse is constantly tricking you, and there's only so many ways that you can kind of show that. But this one is one that I will definitely revisit a lot more than I would ever the first one, even though I love Kyle Gallner. Kyle Gallner stands in the chat. Where you at?
Nah, that's what's up. Yeah, now I'm excited. I'm hyped. I definitely got to peep this one out for sure.
Yeah, when it comes to this one compared to Terrifier, I mean, obviously there's no comparison because it's 2 different movies. Yeah. But I do feel like, you know, people go in and like they're like, oh, let's watch a horror movie, and I'm curious if they pick this one over Terrifier, depending on who it is, obviously, and what kind of thing they're aiming for. Is this one rated R? Is it R?
I want to say it has to be because what I
Okay.
will say too, obviously I haven't seen the first one in a hot minute, but this one is definitely like gorier. I think I literally wrote in my little notes, I said like F word gnarly. Like I was like effing gnarly because some of those, like we see it, like Lucas Gage's character, it's just really good the way that they did it. It's super, super haunting. A lot more than I remember from the first one, but I could be wrong. But I think they amplified that. But then it's not that gratuitous gore like a Terrifier would be. It's like the perfect amount where like these effects are insane. The special effects, makeup, like shout out to everybody who worked on it in that regard. Even the music, whoever again penned those pop songs for Sky Riley, so good, so fun.
Oh, so the music's good too. That's good to hear.
Oh, the music's really good. Again, like I said, I want to stream her. If she gonna be out on Spotify, who knows?
How does she compare to Homegirl M. Night Shyamalan?
Oh my God. Okay, first of all,
Who's a better pop star?
I mean, in my opinion, again, because of the production, because of the outfits, because of all of that stuff, I have to go Sky Riley.
Okay.
And I also just wasn't, I thought everything having to do, I keep wanting to go back to like Trap, I guess. But everything having to do with Lady Raven in the film was the least interesting part of Trap. You know, like I just wasn't really impressed by what they did taking this idea. I thought Josh Hartnett just completely carried that film, and the girl who played his daughter. In this one, I mean, this whole film rides on her back. Like everybody else is just kind of completely secondary. We spend all the time with her. We're spending all the time in her head. And so her as a pop star and her as like an actress, we're both great.
Yeah, I think that's the big difference between I think Trap and this one is that Trap, Josh Hartnett's the main character, and then Naomi Scott's the main character. Real quick, I know you gotta go, Sabrina. Just real quick, some people in the chat. Joseph Week said, "What's up, First Cut? Thanks for watching." Johnny Dome said, "Is this live?" Yes, this is live. That's why we have so many technical errors. So thank you. And then Joseph Week said, "Haunting in Connecticut, Kyle Garner."
Yeah.
So.
Everything. Jennifer's Body, Haunting in Connecticut, Nightmare on Elm Street. He's just been in so many good films. I absolutely adore him. It's my dream for us to interview him on this channel one day.
Yeah, I'd be fired. Come on.
Putting that out into existence.
Right.
Yeah, we got it. We got Andrew Garfield in the lineup.
Yeah.
Newly single Andrew Garfield. We got Kyle Gallner. I mean, we living it up out here. Yeah, Sabrina, thank you for your thoughts. I really am interested because I do feel like tis the season, right? When it comes to spooky season and watching horror movies. Again, I keep going back to Terrifier because I just think it's hysterical. This movie's so popular. When it comes to just what the movie is.
Honestly, going back to Terrifier, that's another thing I didn't mention. Art the Clown is a fantastic horror like slasher villain. Like I think that's what they really nailed, and like the film, like the story, the script, even the acting, a lot of that is so rough, but it's completely carried by art. Lauren Lavera, who plays, gosh, I can't even remember her name, but Lauren Lavera she comes in the second film. I know she's the main character of the third film. She's like the best actress in the franchise by miles. And then everybody else, when they're interacting with her, it's just kind of like, oh, like it's such a shame that her performance is so great and then some of the others are so rough. So I think Terrifier now like completely focuses on her acting ability and then how good Art the Clown is as a character. Especially revisiting those, I was like, dang. Like I know they were working on a shoestring budget. Not everybody is going to be Daniel Day-Lewis.
Right.
But damn.
Yo, so that's really funny too because on Real Ones we talked about Terrifier 3. I didn't see it. But my boy John saw it, and he told me, you know, Terrifier 2 was definitely a lot more like, you know, some would say like misogynistic, not misogynistic, but the way they portrayed the women in the Terrifier 2 was like very, very, very unsettling versus the way they portrayed, I guess in Terrifier 3 they switched it up a little bit, but I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, Sabrina.
All right. So that's my biggest problem with this franchise is that I don't think I actually think he's really cool. Like I've seen some interviews with him. I think he's really cool and I don't think it's intentional. I think it almost goes back to horror as a whole of kind of, you know, being like exploiting women. And so it's just something that fans of horror or a director of horror might just kind of fall into because it's what you're used to seeing. So of course it's like what you want to implement in your story. So yeah, I have seen All Hallows Eve and basically everything Art the Clown related up until this point, up until Terrifier 3. Watching those like anthology films or the short films, those definitely hit home for me of like, okay, women are being mistreated left and right, and I'm just not finding any joy in it. Like even as a horror fan, like I just feel icky when I'm watching all of these things. I don't want to see it. So I know in the second one, the biggest kill that everybody talks about, and obviously this movie's been out, so it's like not a spoiler, but you know, it happens in a woman's bedroom and it's just so comedically drawn out that's actually the one where I'm like, maybe he's being self-aware about it because it's just so ridiculous. You know what? I'll spoil it, whatever.
Right.
Because he literally like scalps her, chops off her, or rips off her arm, does this, is like slashing her all over. She is completely like getting messed up. And then he decides to take salt and bleach and then put it all into her wounds. She's somehow still alive. He's like cutting her eye open. And it's just so drawn out that one almost feels comedic to me. So I see it very differently from like the grittier, it just keeps going for like 7 minutes straight. And then she's still alive. Like all this time later, her mom comes home and like the girl's like kind of moving. I'm like, okay, first of all, that's how I know this is a joke. Nobody would still be alive after all of this. And yeah, it just feels like overly focused on women. And I know I heard they kind of remedied that in this one, that like one of the major kills, one of the most like brutal kills is with a man. Yeah, you probably heard about it. But yeah, the short films and a lot of the grittier ones where they took themselves a little bit more seriously, definitely do feel a little bit targeted and definitely feel very icky. The second film, it becomes more like fantasy, more supernatural, more kind of like goofy, really leaning into the humor of it all. And so that's where that one feels a little bit better. I'm just still not on board because I don't think the story, the script, anything is really there to get me in besides like Art the Clown and the guy who plays him being such a good actor and such a good character.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah. For me personally, I just feel like, sure, I mean, you can enjoy whatever you want. I do feel like you can. I just feel like when it comes to like people praising this movie because it's so low budget and it's making so much money, I'm like, yeah, too bad it's not good though. Because it's like there's so many other smaller budget movies that can be praised. I mean, I don't know. That's just my opinion. I just feel like people are overhyping it because it's like, oh, look how much money it made. There's better horror movies out there, man. There just is. The stuff I've seen from the Terrifier movies are just not good. And it's just like, I don't know. There's other stuff we can be giving credit to and other filmmakers we can be shouting out.
Yeah. If you put any character in like Art the Clown's place and did these exact same films with some type of slasher villain that wasn't him, there's no way it would have garnered the amount of like praise or fans or kind of like cult classic status for modern horror right now. It really is this character. And that's, I mean, they did a really good job with it. Like he's creepy. I actually hate watching these movies because he's so creepy and I hate clowns. My mom got me a clown for like my 3rd birthday and I've been scarred ever since. That's why Pennywise, like I don't want to see any Pennywise on Halloween. I don't want to see any Terrifier, like Art the Clowns on Halloween. Stay away from me. Even going to conventions, like we were just at LA Comic-Con, when people are dressed up as Michael Myers, like I'm like, ooh, just like stay away from me. It's just scary to me. And I say this with a boyfriend that has like multiple Michael Myers busts, a full Michael Myers outfit, the screen accurate mask from like Halloween Kills and Ends. But yeah, we went to the Halloween convention like a year and some time ago, I think. That one was freaky because there were so many Michael Myers walking around and every time somebody would walk by me, I'm like, gotta go.
Right.
Yeah, I do. I'm like, it's all coming back to me now. The Halloween fan of Brandon, the Halloween fan of you, and my anti-Halloweenness and my anti-slasherness. I find it so cheap and so dumb. That's just me. I think ever since I was a kid, like I like creativity in horror. And obviously I love sci-fi horror. I always feel like that's probably my favorite. but there's just something about slashers and something about it that just it's always been so corny to me. I don't
Even
know.
Scream.
What's that?
Even like something like Scream.
Yeah, even something like Scream. Yeah,
Okay,
Scream, Halloween, just
you're
pretty much
wrong.
name a slasher, and I'm just like, I'm out. I'm out. Like,
But I do get it
like
for like a Friday the 13th is another franchise, even though I do like
another
Jason,
one.
another franchise where like I think the way they handle like women a lot is just kind of insane. Even going back to, like gratuitous like nudity while they're getting brutalized, things
Yeah.
like that, in which Terrifier 1 absolutely has. After that, that's where that part gets a little bit better. So, but I gotta head out for the day, y'all.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about James Gunn or Superman, so
Yeah.
Ooh, shots fired.
Valid.
I'm joking. The dog looks really cute. That's what I will say.
Okay. There you go.
Bye, friends.
That's all that matters.
Have a good night.
Sabrina.
Bye,
Thank
Sabrina.
you.
RB3, you want to jump right to it, man?
Let's get to it. Well, before we get into it, I just want to say there are 19 people watching live. 19 people watching live and only 10 likes. What's going on? You can't even see my face, man. I've gone at the crop. Let me fix this crop real quick. But it was only 10 people, only 10 likes and 19 viewers. What's going on, dog? Hit the like button. Support us. Show some love while you're here. You know what I'm saying? We talking about Superman. We get into. I know that's why everybody here. So let's get to it and hit that like button.
So I've been talking about this movie since it was first announced, RB3. You've seen me post a couple of videos as far as my speculation on what it's going to be like. I do have a lot of reservations about it. I do have a lot of questions on it because it is a lot of cast members inside this movie, a lot of characters for anyone who's keeping up. And now a brand new added character, RB3. We got it. We made it. We out here for anyone who's a fan of Crypto, the super dog like me. He is officially going to be in the movie. And I am super curious how they're going to handle that situation. If he's already going to be a part of Superman's life, if he's going to be seen, we're going to see the origin story of how Crypto came to be and how Crypto came to be in the hands of Clark. I think that'd be interesting. Or if he's just like chilling in the Fortress of Solitude with some other creatures like we've seen in other Superman comics and Superman stories where he does have an affection for animals, especially endangered species. So RB3, are you excited that Crypto is going to save the world?
Yeah, the crypto. Well, crypto. Only crypto I believe in is cryptocurrency. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. No, I am excited. That's why James Gunn signed up to do this movie. It's because they got a dog. He loves dogs. He even made in his own Instagram post. He was like, I based him off my dog Maui or something, and like gave a little picture of it. I thought that was cute. You know what I'm saying? And James, you've seen Guardians, especially Guardians 3. You know the man loves animals. So. Of course, that's going to play a big role into it. I'm excited for it, man. The dog part of it, I didn't really like, I was kind of like indifferent. I'm like, okay, that's a nice, cute element we haven't seen before. That's a fresh take on it. But the actual imagery itself, and I'm going to put it back on screen for the people who haven't seen it yet. The picture of the cape, the cape looks great. Them sitting on the moon looks dope, looking at the earth. It feels very 70s. It feels very 70s, very nostalgic, very Superman, the old movie, Superman the movie, the 1970s version. It feels very classic and nostalgic in that way. So, I like it. I like it on that front. It's very hard switch from the Zack Snyder verse of it all, but, I dig it.
So for anyone who's been following Superman as closely as I have when it comes to James Gunn's Superman movie, one thing RB3 that we're like counting down the days for is the first teaser we're going to get. New York Comic-Con is this weekend. Do you think we can get it this weekend?
Yeah, I think so. We might. They have been slow rolling out a lot of DC information lately. I feel like that's an indication of it. And normally when they drop a first poster, first image, a trailer usually comes within a week of that too. So could happen.
Yeah, I feel like New York Comic-Con doesn't usually break major movie news, so it'd be kind of cool for them to get that big break for a Superman thing. But if not, obviously, I don't know. It could just come this weekend anyway, because I do feel like it is next summer, and usually when it comes to this time around, we're getting into the holiday season of it all. We get teases for the upcoming big movies for the next year. I know that the Force Awakens teaser came Thanksgiving 2014.
Really? I know that.
Yeah, which was, a pretty long time ahead of obviously when The Force Awakens came out, which was December. But I think it would not be too much to ask if we do get a teaser, pretty soon, because I do feel like the movie, is it June or July? I believe it is
July.
July. Okay, July 7th, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When it comes to that aspect, I feel like that's definitely coming for sure. How are you feeling about everything else we've been hearing about the movie RB3?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I'm very excited for it. I mean, like you said, the July 2025 release date. I think the biggest thing, I was really surprised they didn't bring a trailer to Comic-Con this year, like San Diego Comic-Con. You know what I'm saying? Because of how big of an impact that would have made, and because they're still. I know they had just started filming, but we've also seen when they were just filming Guardians of the Galaxy, they brought a trailer. When they were filming some Marvel stuff, they brought trailers out. So I thought they would do that, but I think doing it at New York Comic Con would be nice. I think technically, on a very technical level, New York Comic Con has a higher attendance rate in terms of ticket sales than San Diego, just because the venue's like bigger. But I would be interested to see a trailer. I would be interested to see the promo material for it. I do think that they are kind of moving in somewhat of the right direction with this story, and the way they're rolling it out, because people don't. I like the Snyderverse. Trust me, I love it. I love Man of Steel. I like Batman. I guess like is a strong word for Batman v Superman. I respect it. I respect Batman v Superman, and I do really genuinely do like Zack Snyder's Justice League, the director's cut. So his vision was there. He had it, and it is kind of sad to see it go away. That being said, though, I love Guardians 3. I love a lot of James Gunn's movies. So this could work. I mean, I just think it is going to play it safe. It's going to play it right down the middle. It's not going to be anything controversial. I think even having a dog in it is like, okay, let's make it as kid-friendly, as four-quadrant as possible. But I'm here for that. We kind of need, especially after a year of superhero movies that we got, like Joker, very inaccessible, very art house, very in his own head. We got something like Deadpool and Wolverine, which is corporate nonsense, garbage, with just
Rated
a little more
R2.
blood. But yes, it's R-rated too. Exactly. But it's R-rated too. I hope this could find a good balance of like something new, something original, also something nostalgic, but also something that could play to the whole family and not something that's like super dark and brooding. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I feel like if you've been, there's a lot of Superman posts out there and threads, and a lot of people are hyping it up as this kind of feel good for a quadrant, almost kind of Disney-esque type story, which I'm super cool with. I just hope that we achieve that balance of what this is the kind of stuff that keeps me up at night at RB3 thinking about this Superman movie. I just hope we achieve the balance and don't overdo it, where it's just overly cheesy and we start to go into Shazam territory, which we all know is a trash movie. But that you know what I'm saying? Like that kind of like where we're starting to tip over to the edge of like, it's so uplifting, it's so positive, but it's getting to the point now where it feels corny and cheesy, and it's not really hitting the same type of way. Do you have that fear? Because I know James Gunn can also do the really, really over the top inside his movies.
Yeah, I mean he can go over the top. He can go wacky. I thought, you see some of his movies and you're like, okay, this could be kind of core, and especially because he's running the DC studios, it's like he got a lot of pressure. I do just think, as conventional as Guardians of the Galaxy could have been, it wasn't. It still felt fresh. It still felt new. And actually, I listened to the audiobook for the Marvel, like the whole Marvel behind the scenes thing. And I kind of mentioned the original script for Guardians of the Galaxy 1 was a very standard sci-fi movie, like very not, very standard. Like it was like just a standard space opera. But when James Gunn came in, he's the one who added the awesome mixtape, and he added the backstory with the mom and stuff like that. So it was like, I feel like he can take something like Superman, which we've seen 100 times. I just don't. He's not going to do a Bryan Singer. That's what I think. It's not going to be a Bryan Singer Superman Returns type of situation. So I'd be very curious. But I also want to know what the chat thinks was going to happen. We haven't had a lot of chats here. We have Roan6751 says Superman is here. MK Songbird said Sienna. I'm not sure what that's referring to. Sabrina in the chat said, after a lot of dark, gritty superhero movies, I'm down for a more wholesome one. I definitely agree with that for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting because one thing that's key, RB3, is the balance of all the characters. So right now, off the top of my head, I'll probably look it up right now after I toss the question to you. We have Nathan Fillion, Sky Gardner. We have the engineer. We have Isabel Sanders, which is Hawk Girl. We have Solaris. We have Lex Luthor. We have Mr. Terrific. I think I already mentioned the engineer. And now we have Crypto. Is he going to be able to balance all these characters in satisfying ways, I guess?
Yeah, I think so. I think some of these characters are just going to be throwaways. I'm sure like Mr. Terrific is going to be like a throwaway. A lot of these characters are probably just going to be wave to camera, say their lines, and then like we're probably not going to see them too much anymore. I think it is interesting that they said this is going to be a more established world in terms of like there are a lot of superheroes already running around in this world. And it's kind of like a normal thing, almost like the MCU, right? I'd be curious to see how that plays out. I think that's kind of the world we are going to see play out because that's something that allows for more of those superhero-powered characters. I literally think it's going to be a lot going on, but I really do think the main core three are going to be Superman, Lex, and Lois Lane. And then I think we're also going to, Crypto, because again, James Gunn's an animal person. There's going to be a lot of sympathy towards that. But even in Guardians 1, Rocket wasn't the biggest character. Like he didn't have the backstory and everything that we learned until Guardians 3. This might be another one of those situations. It's just like another fun animal who's like a character, but doesn't have a full backstory until later on in the series.
Yeah, I feel like Metamorpho was the other one I forgot, by the way. Yeah, I do agree with you. I do feel like they're all going to have very, very minor roles. It's funny because I actually think Mr. Terrific is going to have the biggest one of those.
Oh, really? Oh.
Versus a Hot Girl or a Metamorpho or something like that. I think those are going to be like wave at the camera type stuff. Same with Guy Gardner too, especially Guy Gardner. I think people are expecting too much out of him. And I'm sure it's just going to be like 1 5-second scene. Especially because it's Nathan Fillion. Like anytime he's in a James Gunn movie, everyone's like, he's gonna be in a James Gunn movie, and it's like he's in it for like 15 seconds, maybe.
Yeah.
He's funny in it, but that's kind of all he does.
Mm-hmm.
So I doubt he's gonna have a huge role in those movies. Same with Hawk Girl. I doubt she's gonna be in it for that long. But I do feel like there is. He said it's not gonna be an origin story. So I'm curious what he means by that. I'm curious if we already have the Fortress of Solitude, which I think we do, and I don't think we're going to get an origin to that. I'm curious if he's going to have Crypto already developed, like he's already been a part of Clark's life, and he's already been a part of the Fortress of Solitude, all this kind of stuff. He's already flying around, and there's no shock that he's flying around, because I think that's going to be kind of funny too, is the fact that we just see a random flying dog. That's already hysterical, and I could see James Gunn playing that up. But I think that's one big thing, is the fact that we're not getting origin stories for any of these characters whatsoever, like you said. And it's going to be very much that they're all already developed, and Superman is just running into them like he does on the daily, right? Like that kind of like mentality as far as like, hey man, good to see you again. And we're not shocked by this, enormous power. Maybe even with Solaris. I think that'd be kind of funny if Superman has run into Solaris before. You know Solaris, right? He's the one that comes out in the poster image.
Nah.
He's the giant alien sun. Yeah, he fights Superman a lot in the comics, but he presents the red sun aspect, which takes away his powers. Not takes away, but just like, yeah, kind of takes away his powers. But the fact that if Superman has run into him before, I think that'd be kind of funny as well. Yeah, I'm excited for the movie RB3. When it comes to this one or Fantastic Four, I have two questions. It's still coming out the same date.
Yeah.
I have three questions. Is one of them going to move? And if so, which one? Second question is, which one would you pick to see first? And third question is, which one is going to make more money?
These are all good questions. I mean, for one, I think DC will move because Marvel.
Wow.
Yeah, I think Marvel just doesn't. They won't move. They when they had this face off before with Captain America: Civil War and Batman v Superman, and then what did they do? Marvel didn't move an inch. DC actually moved their movie up. They actually released it beforehand, which is honestly probably a smart move. I do think Superman might. I feel like that's probably the most prone to move, honestly. And honestly, I can see it kind of being like a nice May release date, like a nice May Memorial Day Superman movie. Sounds kind of nice to me. I don't know why. I don't know if there's anything else coming out Memorial Day. Probably Thunderbolts or something, but yeah, wipe out Thunderbolts. In terms of what's going to make more money, I mean, there's reason to believe Superman, right? Because he is one of the biggest superheroes of all time. Everything. Also very controversial, and controversial in the sense of like, what's people's taste going to be like after Man of Steel? Because Man of Steel made money. It made $760 million worldwide, but it didn't, it didn't like perform the way it didn't make $1 billion. Basically, it didn't make $1 billion in the era where a lot of movies are making $1 billion. Same thing with Batman vs Superman. It made money, made a lot of money. It didn't make $1 billion. Something in me is telling me that Fantastic Four is going to get the Marvel All-Star treatment. Like they're going to roll out Fantastic Four like it's the new Avengers movie, like it is the second coming of Christ. Like this, like I feel like Kevin Feige in particular is like, nah, this is the one, So part of me feels like Superman is more popular. There is more to even say with Superman. Like I even think there's more to be excited about with the Superman movie. But I just know Marvel reputation. I'm never going to put anything past Marvel. And yeah, I think Pedro Pascal is also so much of a bigger star than David Cornsett. I know the star power thing doesn't really matter these days, but Pedro Pascal is huge, dog. Like huge. So, and David
then he can have an Oscar.
Yeah, from Gladiator 2, maybe, probably, yeah, honestly. So, David Cornswett's a good actor, but he's not Pedro Pascal,
I disagree with you on all fronts, by the way.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of things. First of all, I'm with you on Man of Steel, but you have to realize, like, when that movie was coming out, it was very much in your face that this movie was not going to be your dad's Superman, your typical Superman. The dark and gritty aspect was really, really, really part of the selling point. And the same with BVS was the whole, they're going to fight to the death and it's going to be bloody and awesome. And the whole Snyder violence of it all made a lot of parents be like, okay, I guess my kid is not welcome to see this movie. I wouldn't take my 6-year-old to see this, I guess. Whereas this one, which you just said, RB3, as we were opening this conversation, is going to be the most kid-friendly, family-friendly, wholesome 4-quadrant type Superman movie we've had in a minute. And I do feel like the marketing aspect of this movie is something that James Gunn is really, really trying to sell you on, especially when it comes to the basics of marketing, which is merchandising, aiming towards younger kids. And this is going to be everywhere. Toothpaste, action figures. There's going to be a Metamorpho action figure, a Green Lantern action figure, Superman everywhere. It's just going to be like the biggest marketing frenzy Warner Brothers has done in years. And I do feel like they're going to just really sell you the whole family aspect of it all. I just think it's going to kill Fantastic Four. Just like whoop them.
Wow.
And I think if anyone's going to move, it's them, especially because Marvel hasn't had a W that's not named Spider-Man in a minute. They haven't had a,
Well, Deadpool and Wolverine.
That's true, but that's, again, when it comes to the counter of a rated R, over the top action movie versus a Fantastic Four family unit, family friendly. Like this is supposed to be much more inviting than a rated R, Carnage Fest or whatever the hell Deadpool was supposed to be. It just feels like it's very much like they're selling you like we need a comeback when it comes to our universe, and we need a comeback when it comes to something that's not named Spider-Man or Deadpool, because Deadpool was already its previous thing, and Spider-Man was already its previous thing, and this is supposed to be something brand new that's supposed to fit inside the Marvel universe, that is supposed to tease Doom, which is our new big, I just feel like they're going to leave Deadpool in the wayside anyways, and they already are clearly leaving Spider-Man on the wayside. So leaving those two on the wayside, they're trying to sell you Fantastic Four as a new big unit that's going to guide our new Avengers. Everything you just said, right? I feel like that matters, and I feel like that's why they're probably more afraid of losing versus DC being like, we got nothing to lose, bro.
They have a lot to lose, though. You know what I'm saying? I think right now they have a lot to lose because this is their first movie out the gate. They take an L after L after L. I mean, Shazam 2, Joker 2. They had something else that came out recently that was like kind of an L. The only things that aren't taking L's is their Batman content. So it's like, I do think there is a certain amount of pressure. If this one stinks, if this one gets the same kind of reception as Joker 2, or a few of their other recent movies, Aquaman 2, that's another one. Aquaman 2 didn't do bad commercially, but that was not a great movie. If they have anything in that kind of territory, I think the fans are just going to give it up. I think the fans are kind of over it because they rebooted it with Man of Steel, and everybody's like, okay, this is the reboot. We're here for that. And that wasn't that long ago. That was only 12 years ago that happened. I mean, I don't know. I'm curious. I'd be very curious. There's also that rumor going around that they could. There's that rumor going around that they might cancel Matt Reeves' Batman series if the Superman, if James Gunn Superman does well. I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. I kind of would hate to see that. I feel like, again, the only thing that's working is the Matt Reeves Batman universe between Batman and Penguin. I just hope that I hope the movie does well. I also just hope it does well, and we also keep Matt Reeves Batman universe. We also keep this Elseworld stuff going on because I don't want to see it become homogenized. Am I saying that right? Or just James Gunn's vision. I don't want it to just be James Gunn's vision all across the board.
I'm with you, man, and I hope we don't get that because I do feel like it might be hit or miss for a lot of people, and I see two comments in the chat right now, RB3, that I want to hit on. Ironheart says, I believe this channel can start young kids superhero movies for them. I see a lot of adults making fun of Krypton. I think he means crypto. Is different from adults, and then I see Ironheart again clarifying. He says that a lot of channels have been saying that DC is dead because they're aiming at kids with Crypto, the super dog. I saw the tweet he's talking about. It was someone saying something like, James Gunn is making a movie just for kids and this sucks already. What do you think of that? And I mean, I have my comments. I have my thoughts, but I'll let you go first. What do you think of the whole, like, this is way too kiddie?
Nah, I don't think this is too kiddie, man. I mean, okay. I think I want to see. I think James Gunn has a very fun and loose kind of energy and kind of directorial style. And I think this is going to be another one of those, like, it's going to be funny. It's going to be comedy first. I definitely think that's going to be the case. But I don't even think the Guardians movies are necessarily for kids. Like, a kid can watch the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, but they make jokes about sperm. They make jokes about, like, all kinds of, like, crazy stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, there's a difference between a movie made for kids and being a four-quadrant movie.
Yeah, I agree 100% with what you're saying. I don't feel like this is necessarily like for kids, but I do feel like a lot of kids are going to be able to watch it and enjoy it a little bit easier, maybe even more than the Guardians movies, like you said, because I do feel like the Guardians movies do hit on a lot of harder subjects, and I think maybe this one might be a little bit lighter when it comes to that. I don't think that's the case, but I do have a but. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing to make a movie that's, that is a little bit more accessible to kids. I do feel like that'd be kind of cool in a way, to allow kids to kind of join this DC world a little bit more and not feel so overly, you know what I mean? Like Joker 2, the Batman, like no kid's gonna enjoy any of that. I remember watching my first Batman screening in RB3, and there was a kid next to me, and he was so confused. This kid was like, "Wait a minute, this ain't no Batman, bro.
Yeah,
this is like Detective Sherlock Holmes and his sidekick partner who's super fine." This was like a whole, BBC show or some Netflix show. It didn't feel very much like kids were welcome in watching the Batman. I'm just being honest. I enjoyed it, the Matt Reeves Batman universe, but it doesn't feel like it's for kids. Same with Joker. And I feel like James Gunn is going out of his way to say, "Hey, kids, let's have some fun and enjoy it." I don't necessarily feel like that means it's for kids. I think people of all ages can enjoy it, and I do feel like there will be some serious topics, especially if you're doing Lex in the movie. Lex is supposed to be a serious villain, not a over the top ridiculous villain. And that's my biggest fear. I told you that I feel like if he nails Lex, then we're in good hands, because I don't want to see, as much as I love James Gunn's movies, I just don't want to see any of the villains we've seen in his movies before. Whether it comes to homie from Guardians 3, I already forgot his name. What was his name?
The homeboy who's the creator.
What was it? Creator? Was it Creator? I don't remember. The engineer? No, not the engineer. Him, for example, like he's great, but he was just too over the top for me when it comes to that kind of villain. Same with was it Aisha, the gold lady?
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I just don't want that.
Yeah.
I don't want like that kind of like mustache twirling, like "I will get you," and that kind of ridiculousness that we've seen in James Gunn's movies before.
Yeah.
I just really hope we don't get that.
Shout out to, who was in that? That was a fun role, whoever that was too. But that was Elizabeth Debicki. That's right.
Yeah.
But then the dude was the High Evolutionary.
High Evolutionary. There you go.
I could see that, but also
I don't want that to be Lex, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I can see that, but yeah, I definitely hear you on that. I think Nicholas Holt's a better actor than that. You know what I'm saying? I think he's one of those actors that would. Oh, also the guy who played High Evolutionary is a great actor too. So it's really just about the direction. But I don't think they're gonna go campy with it, because even the one thing that was kind of a little goofy and campy in Batman v Superman nobody liked, which was Lex Luthor, Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor.
Oh, I hated it.
Yeah. I think that was the one kind of piece of comedy that they had in that movie, and everybody hated it. I think they kind of know, like, we're gonna do the rest of this movie funny, but let's get Nicholas Hoult to bring the serious to it, because he could do serious really, really well.
That's what I'm hoping for, is that we get a serious Lex and someone who brings a lot more to it. Yeah, for me, RB3, the biggest thing about Superman for me is finding that balance, the idea of the tone of it all. And I think James Gunn can do it for sure. But something that I do feel like a lot of people are talking about, this is the last question I have for you, and then we can move on and then, say goodbye. But the last thing is the balance of the wholesomeness of it all, RB3, because I keep seeing a lot of tweets of people being like, I can't wait to see 2 hours of Superman saving cats out of trees, or saving like fishermen and saving kids out of fires. And I'm like, I want to see that, don't get me wrong. But I think there's a limit, right? There's like, especially in live action, I do want to see. I do feel like people are misunderstanding the character of Superman. Superman has always been about goodness and righteousness, but he's never necessarily been about purely reactive to stuff. He's also very proactive in his actions, and I don't want to see a reactive Superman, and I don't think that's what we're going to get. I think we're going to get a proactive Superman, one who does go out of his way to help people in other aspects, and not just fires or car accidents or, sinking boats, or cats in trees. I do feel like he will go out of his way to say, hey, I'm seeing some injustice in there, I'm gonna go wreck shop, like we've seen in Justice League the animated series, where Superman is just like, yo, there's some shit going on in there. I'm gonna go wreck shop. Like I'm gonna just throw hands, and that's what Superman does because he's just like so powerful that he's like, I'm gonna intervene because I can intervene and because I'm Superman. I do want to see a little bit of that too. What do you think of that balance as far as like Superman being a little bit more active and not just reactive?
Yeah, I mean that's the cool part about not having an origin story. He kind of already had the training wheels off. We kind of see him going into action. I think that was a cool part about Matt Reeves' Batman movie is that it was like a year. It wasn't a year one. It was a year two. So it was like
Year two.
we don't see him necessarily, going into the building a bat cave or like doing a ninja training or all the other stuff. He's just already right to it. So I think that's a good way. I kind of hope this one is kind of that same situation. Like a Superman that's established, but still early enough in his superhero antics to kind of learn a lesson and be able to be inspired by something. So, and grow. Exactly. Yeah.
That's good. RB3, you wanted to talk about Chris Nolan's new movie, man.
Yeah, man, I gotta show love to my boy Nolan, man. And again, shout out to the 19 people watching, 16 likes, 17 likes. So we are pushing up for it. We are pushing close to that number. Keep liking if you haven't hit the like button already. And then Noel Garcia said, what do y'all think will be the 10? What do you think will be announced 10 upcoming Super Bowl trailers? I mean, I don't know. That's still pretty
Probably
far
Superman.
away.
Yeah,
but
I could see Superman.
I could definitely see Superman. I could definitely see Thunderbolts. I could
Thunderbolts,
definitely see Fantastic Four.
All of them, yeah.
Yeah. It just really depends on what's coming out next year. Honestly, I gotta look at the release calendar. I don't know when Sinners comes out from Michael B. Jordan, Ryan Coogler.
March, right?
March, yeah. So I can definitely see that being a big Super Bowl trailer as well. But yeah, I definitely wanted to tap in with, I'm a Nolanite through and through, and Nolan we trust, as the internet has so adequately termed, or coined. Nolan's coming back. He's back with another movie. He signed with Universal to do this movie. It's going to be starring Matt Damon. Apparently, Warner Brothers sent Nolan a 7-figure check for royalties, unpaid royalties on Tenet. Christopher Nolan accepted that check and still said thank you, but no thank you. I'll take your money, but I will not work with you again. I like that, Nolan. I like that. Big balls on that man. And he apparently the only person who's read the script is Donna Langley, the head of Universal, the main number one at Universal. So it's gonna be pretty cool. A lot of us fans are wondering, what is this movie going to be? Is it going to be sci-fi? Is it going to be another biopic? Is it going to be spy movie? It's an espionage movie. I know a lot of us Nolan fans have he's always talked about wanting to do Bond. Universal doesn't have any rights to Bond. I actually think that's through MGM, so I'll probably be an Amazon situation. I don't know how that's going to go. But could this be espionage? Could this be sci-fi? Some have even speculated maybe a horror movie. I don't know. So I guess I passed the question on to you, Andres, and to the chat. What will Nolan's movie be? Nolan's next movie be?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because I don't even know. No, I take it back. He probably does know. I was going to say Universal wants something big out of him, right? I think I read the Deadline article that said they want it to be an IMAX, right?
Yeah.
They want it to be another IMAX feature. Which means they're going big, right? Which means they want it to be something with large scale, large budget. They want to give him a lot of money to make this movie. They don't want him, they don't want him to make a small, I don't know, indie throwback movie. They want him to make a giant movie like he did with Oppenheimer, whatever he chooses to make. So regardless of what he chooses, I do feel like it's going to be a big deal for sure. I think he'll make... I think he'll go back to his sci-fi roots for sure. I think he'll very much go grounded sci-fi, and maybe do something original that he's always had in mind. Maybe work with his brother, because his brother always has ideas, and I know he's always been working on stuff too. I forgot what was the recent project his brother did that was pretty popular. Fallout. Jesus Christ, there you go. Something like that, like a big sci-fi project with his bro. I could totally see that happening for sure.
Yeah, I could definitely see sci-fi. I could definitely see espionage, man. I could definitely see a spy movie coming out of Nolan, especially with Matt Damon. You know, Matt Damon is the Bourne Ultimatum guy. You know, that's kind of like his big star role. And I think Nolan's kind of been playing with that for a minute. I think Tenet is like a brilliant mixture of like spy movie and sci-fi movie kind of all brought together. I feel like that was him kind of being like, okay, this, you know, I'm trying to test the waters a little bit. But I want to see him go full tilt into that, dog. I want to see him go full, you know, like how Hitchcock had North by Northwest, just this globe trouting all around the world kind of spy adventure movie. I'll just be down to see that. You know what I'm saying? And again, you know, it might not be, you know, it could just be another war. It could be a World War II movie too, because you gotta think he loves World War II, right? Dunkirk, Oppenheimer, like the man loves World War II. So it also could be another World War II story, as well. But I think I would like to see sci-fi. I don't know what world in sci-fi he would even go into. We saw space. We saw dreams. You know, I don't know what else. Is there like a type of sci-fi you could kind of see him doing, or?
Yeah, I mean, what if he does like a little bit more grounded, like technological advancement type stuff, right? Where people are using like enhancements on their bodies, something a little bit more cyberpunk. I think that'd be kind of cool, where he taps into that genre of like body enhancements or stuff like that, where people are using tools, maybe even in a militaristic aspect, a little bit like Tenet, right? Where it is kind of like a tech type thing, but where people use this technology to kind of impose their will on other people. I could see something like that.
Nah, I'm hyped. I will watch it. I'm watching it any day. I'm watching any Nolan movie any day of the week, twice on Sunday. I think a sci-fi movie like that would be cool. It's also, you know, Nolan loves the practical stuff. So I also think like what's like not a lot of CGI too. You know, but he likes to build worlds and stuff. So I'm excited, man. I don't know what it's gonna be. I just know I'm there opening weekend. I'm watching in IMAX. If it is a spy movie, I want to see something big, something globetrotty, but also something, you know, like emotionally resonant. Like I think the coolest thing about both Inception and Interstellar is that they're both, you know, like Interstellar is a very sci-fi movie, but it still has that through line of like, you know, Matthew McConaughey trying to long and see his family. You got that amazing crying scene. Inception, same thing. Like Leonardo DiCaprio is dealing with the you know, his wife, and you see those flashbacks. I want to see something that is a genre piece and like that, but like also emotional at its heart. So, yeah, I agree. I feel like that was what was missing a little bit in Tenet, and I feel people felt that a little more. Yeah. And
I think that's what people liked out of Oppenheimer a lot more, for sure. Last thing, Arbiter, before we leave. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I just want to shout out Real Talk Film Society, John Marin in the chat, talking Nolan taking seven figures from WB and saying F you is hilarious. They got some bad juju over there at Warner's. Yeah. Stay away, Chris. I agree with that. Definitely agree with that. And something we can all agree on, Real Talk Film Society also said Nolan's next movie will be long, that's for sure. So, you know, probably going to be long. You know, Oppenheimer was a cool 3 hours. You know, so it'll probably be in that. I think Tenet was like 230.
240, man. It was like 240.
Yeah. So Oppenheimer, I could definitely. It's funny. Oppenheimer, literally, they had to make whole new IMAX film canisters for the IMAX film because the max they can normally hold is like 240, but he was like, nah, I needed 3. I need 3. So
crazy. I remember that. That was ridiculous. Definitely doing the most. That's what Nolan does. It's almost interesting, Arbiter, because I almost would want to see. Do you think Nolan would kill a James Bond movie? Do you feel like he would? Would body that?
Oh yeah, he would eviscerate it. I mean, he would go ham on it. The only thing is, like, you know, I think apparently there's like still like the same family that's owned it for like mad years. And they'll probably be all over his shoulder, like, you know, making mad notes and stuff. I don't want to see that. If you're gonna let Nolan cook, let him cook unrestricted. I heard Oppenheimer didn't even have any studio notes. Like, in fact, I heard a rumor. I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard he had a thing in this contract that if any Warner, like when he was at Warner Brothers, if any Warner Brothers executive like came up to him and started talking to him, he'll just walk away. Like he'll literally just walk away. Like he'll be talking to an actor or a crew person, executive walks up, he dips. Like, yo, that's crazy. So, I mean, I wonder if he got that same kind of clout at Universal. I'd imagine Oppenheimer made a Billy and
all you kidding me, bro? So, why do you think he's staying there?
Yeah.
It's just a blank check and no notes at Universal, bro. Yeah. That's what it is. Keys to the kingdom, keys to the castle, whatever he wants, man. That's what he gets at Universal. I mean, obviously, yeah. If you know what it is at Universal, you know what it is. It's definitely like Chris Nolan runs the show and he can do whatever he wants. I think that's absolutely hysterical.
Yeah. One thing that kind of a lot of people are looking at, some of the IP that exists over at Warner Brothers right now, and maybe seeing if he could have some sort of involvement in any of their IPs. I personally don't think so.
No.
Like, I don't think he would get involved in like Fast and Furious or like.
And there's already a Jurassic World coming out too.
There's already a Jurassic World, right, with Gareth Edwards, which I'm very excited about too. So, yeah, he's not gonna hop into like Jurassic Park. He's not gonna hop into, what else they got at Universe? I have to look that up.
Fast and Furious,
right.
Jurassic World.
Yeah, the Mummy, like stuff like that. He's not the Purge. He's not going to do a Purge movie. He's not going to do anything like horror movie like related either. I don't think it would be cool to see a Nolan horror movie. I personally think, but I don't think he'll be down to do it. But
yeah, again,
action. If it's spy movie, if it's a sci-fi, I think it's going to be something big and like blockbuster. Mainly because he usually does it like 1 and 1. Like he'll do Dunkirk and then he'll do Tenet. He did Oppenheimer. Even technically The Dark Knight he did, and then he did Inception, and then he did Dark Knight Rises, and then he did Interstellar. So he usually goes one for them, one for me type thing. I feel like this is going to be a one for them kind of situation, which I'm here for. I support.
Same here.
Going back to the chat, Devontae Hutley says, if they don't put these superheroes to bed already, they had long runs, some good, most bad. Overall, drawn out to Kingdom Come. Just end it all. Yeah, I mean, so some people feeling, man. I mean, it was a tough year. It was a tough year for superhero movies, for sure. Probably one of the worst years, honestly. And then John said, not Nolan having a fuck out of here contract, clause in his contract. Man, you're right. And then John also said, I think the Dark Knight trilogy will be his one only dabbling into the IP world. I agree with that too. I think he's going to be all original from this point. So
I think he even hinted at that when he was making stuff like Inception and Interstellar. I think he was just being like, yo, by the way, this is what I'm going to do from now on. Mm-hmm. So, alrighty, guys. Appreciate you guys tuning in for this whole time. First Cut Live. We were doing it. We did it. Mm-hmm. Thank you for joining us throughout this whole time. If you can leave a like, leave a comment, do all that good stuff. Subscribe here to First Cut if you haven't done so already. RB3, where can everyone find you, man?
You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Director RB3. Stay tuned. Follow me on Threads as well. I'm also on there at Director RB3. Very, very big things coming soon. We're going to be launching some things that I'm going to need everybody's support. All 14 of y'all watching right now. I need all y'all support with this next project that I'm going to be rolling out pretty soon. So stay locked in and follow us for the updates.
You can follow me at Squad Leader Ace. Make sure you guys follow at First Cut TMO, as I said already. Either way, guys, for the First Cut crew, we're going to be peacing out. So peace. Deuces.